Welcome to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford, so grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media. We appreciate you stopping by. Broaden the scope of exposure for your business by going beyond the interview. Learn more at www.jmmbmediallc.com. Sell the problem you solve, not the product. Today, we are happy to bring AJ Silber. Did I say that right, AJ?
You did. Yeah, you said it correct.
All right. And AJ is a serial entrepreneur with a passion for digital marketing and organic lead generation. AJ grew the Guerrilla Agency into the leading SEO agency in Minneapolis, and within 4 short years, he turned that venture into a multi-million-dollar exit. Now he's turned his sights on applying the same innovative agency systems and processes to his latest venture, which is Small Business Bonfire. And Small Business Bonfire is a company focused on helping entrepreneurs start and scale their businesses through free resources, actionable articles, and low-cost courses. Wow. I'm sure all of our entrepreneurs are going to love this topic. Well, welcome, AJ. Thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate you taking time out of your vacation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, how did you get into the marketing digital world?
Yeah, so that is a very interesting question. I actually got into digital marketing by happenstance. I sort of fell into it. I started in college. I had started a handful of, I guess you could call them failed software startups. But every failure I feel like is a learning moment. So, for me, I don't think of them as failures. I think of them as like stepping stones. But so I started a couple of businesses, and I was always the kind of business side, marketing side of the sort of the equation, as opposed to the tech founder. So I had a couple of partners that I'd worked with on those ventures. And again, they were defunct, failed, didn't really work out. And then I realized after college I needed to make money somehow. So I ended up approaching it was a local brewery, or we somehow like got into a conversation about marketing and how I could help with their social media. I had no idea what to do with social media at the time. Right. So I remember it was so funny. I write this like 45-page contract, and gave it to him. And I was like, hey, listen, here's what I can do for your business. And then he ended up saying yes. And I ended up getting, some cash in exchange for marketing services. And then I just sort of rolled on that. And at the beginning of my, I feel like at the beginning of my, marketing tenure, I guess if you could call it, I always say that I would do your social media marketing. I'd build you a website and I'd paint your back porch if you gave me enough money. You know what I mean? Do whatever to whomever. So I guess that was kind of the start. It really started there, and then it kind of grew on that. And then there was sort of a little bit more of a focus later on.
Wow. Isn't it funny how we fall into stuff?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I know that feeling wholeheartedly. So the Guerrilla Agency, tell everybody about that. And 4 short years, how did you manage all that?
Yeah, thank you. So it was kind of it was a little bit of a, I guess, a curvy path, right, for the 4 short years. So again, when I think perfect segue, right? When I had kind of issued that first contract out and gotten paid for marketing services, I guess I was sort of a freelancer at that time. And I love one of my favorite quotes that I use pretty often is it's to quote Ron Swanson, it's better to whole ass one thing than to half ass two things, right? So I was sort of like in this like one foot into like, hey, I want to build this software startup, that's going to be the next $1 billion exit. And my other foot was in like, hey, I'm actually making money doing something. So why don't I pursue this? So I kind of had this choice that I have to make, or I had to make, that was like, hey, listen, let's actually focus on something that's really working. So I dropped kind of the idea, and it still is like in the process of like, hey, this could happen in the future. But I dropped the idea of like having having this $1 billion like, startup, and like let's work in SaaS and let's do that. And switched over to digital marketing. So I freelanced for a while, and then again decided to whole ass something rather than do everything. So again, kind of working off that like paint your back porch methodology. It was like, hey, listen, let's really focus on one thing and do it really well.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of doing like social media marketing and web design and SEO and SEM and pretty much anything that the client would ask for, I would like do it. We had kind of streamlined to the point where we were just doing SEO, right? So I saw kind of this need in the marketplace, specifically in Minneapolis. There wasn't a lot of people, at the time, or a lot of agencies that were doing SEO. So I said, like, hey, listen, let's really focus heavily on that. We rebranded from the launch was what the business was called at the time to the Guerrilla Agency.
Mm-hmm.
And then we, again, not to like beat a dead horse here, but we were like whole assed SEO. And so I like kind of buckled down, like learn the ins and outs of SEO. And then really like from that point forward, it was sort of like picking like a horizontal niche. We said like, hey, listen, let's only do SEO and let's do it for, small to medium-sized businesses. And then the business started to kind of take off. So I think that answers the question, right? I kind of like went on a roundabout way to get there, but
Yeah. Okay. So Business Bonfire. So I'm sure people are really wanting to hear how they can use free resources and actionable art, all low cost stuff to get their business vamped up.
yeah. So it was interesting because and I feel like there's a little bit of there's a gap, I feel like, between like, okay, what was and is the Guerrilla to, like what now is Small Business Bonfire, or what I'm doing kind of currently. And I'll kind of like fill that piece in at least a little bit. We'll talk about probably selling the agency, and all that good jazz. But really, like I kind of learned, like it was a really big trial and error thing. I feel like a lot of people talk about how, I feel like a lot of people who are put on a pedestal in business, they always talk about how they like, know what to do. They're like gurus. They like have a really great, process or system or course that you should buy in order to really like, oh, hey, if you do my course, you'll like excel in business. And for me, it was always like, it was very much the like failing, learning from my failure, and then moving forward piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is that like over that period of time, over the last 4 years, like we're owning and operating the Guerrilla, I feel like I made every single mistake like that I possibly could have made. Like not finding the right mentors, like hiring the wrong people. Like I have so many horror stories about running a business. It's like I could talk about that for an entire podcast. And so what I kind of set out to do after I sold the Guerrilla, I was like, I think there's a gap in the marketplace, right? Because I feel like there's a lot of these like gurus, and I won't name names, but there's a lot of these people that are selling like these super expensive courses, right? Like $1,500 a course, $2,000 a course, or like providing information. I can name names there. Like if you go to Forbes, right? Like go to Forbes, go to entrepreneur.com, read an article, and then see who that article was written by. And 9 times out of 10, it's written by, an intern, right? Like somebody who doesn't have really prior business knowledge. And it's more like those are like really big conglomerates, SEO plays. So for me, what I really wanted to do with Small Business Bonfire, which I'm really proud of at this point, is that I wanted to put articles, free articles free resources, everything that I used with the Guerrilla in order to grow, scale, and sell it in 4 years out there into the ether, essentially for free. So that's kind of what I'm doing there, is like, how can I give back to the entrepreneurial community? How can I provide a bunch of resources and articles and courses eventually that we're kind of working on and in progress of, that'll really benefit the, again, the community. And I think, just again, it's a give and take, right? Like, I'm giving a bunch of free resources, but the idea is that they visit the website and we get traffic, and then, that's how the business makes money. So
Yeah, and that's definitely awesome of you because, like you said, I mean, I've been to enough, I see enough of them every day in my daily journey with $1,500, $2,000. And if you're a small business, you don't have that kind of money to soak
no,
into words. You know what I mean? You just don't have
totally.
it.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to beat the horse here, but like, I feel like I've taken those courses, I've done those things, right? Like, in my journey. And I think what's interesting is that, like, you take a $2,000 course and then you think it's going to be the end all be all, but then like halfway through, they're like, oh yeah, but by the way, you have to buy this $5,000 course,
Uh,
and that's when you get the real knowledge.
yes.
I think it's BS. Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, you
Yeah,
know?
it doesn't to me either because it sounds like you're being milked. If you
Yeah.
spend $2,000 on a course, that should be the course.
Yep.
If
That's exactly right.
that should be it. Wow. How can people get access to Business Bonfire?
Yeah. So just go to www.smallbusinessbonfire.com. And you can essentially, you land on the homepage. I've built the navigation out in a way where it's really accessible. You can find a lot of the, again, the free articles are throughout the website. The courses are on the courses tab. And again, I feel like I want to be 100% transparent. I'm like 50 hours currently into creating kind of a master, like, how to start a business course.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like halfway to 3/4 of the way through with that course. And that's going to be kind of my, I guess, call it premier course. So that's going to come out in the next like 3 weeks, which I'm really excited about. And that's going to, I think that's going to be sort of like my like blanket course, or, the thing that really like is going to 100% free. Take the course, learn everything that I wish that I would have done when I'm starting a business. And then, really from there, I feel like that's where I'm going to really branch out and say, like, okay, well, let's talk about SEO. I grew an SEO agency. Let's talk about that specifically. Let's talk about SEM. Let's talk about social media marketing. Let's talk about how to grow your business. Operations are a huge thing for me. So like, standard operating procedures is something that I am very, very passionate about. So I've got free resources that are included with that course specifically, but then also like, hey, I'm going to build out that, eventual like, flagship course as well. So I've got stuff in the mix and in process. But I feel like the people who are listening to this are going to get in on the ground floor, if that makes sense. Not to be too pluggy, if you follow.
Yeah, and that's a great place to start. Some people, feel like starting at the ground with a company is, well, they don't have any, real backing yet, real grounding yet. But because of your past and what you've done in your career, I mean, what better place to start
For sure.
and go with that journey with you?
Definitely. Yeah, and it's like I said, it's very when I just wish, I feel like what I'm trying to do with Small Business Bonfire is I've kept, I guess, call it a journal of all the times and people and things and stuff that I've learned throughout the last 5 years. And what I really want to do is I want to build it into a resource that really cuts kind of that learning curve down for younger entrepreneurs, right? So the
Mhm.
idea is like, hey, listen, I went through what you're going through, and if you can just like read a free article that's not, again, written by an intern, if you can, grab one of my I have like now, I think on the website, I think I have now like 4 or 5 different resources. I have like a business budget. I have like my SOP outline. There's like several different other resources that you can just grab for free that you can use that I use every single day. So the idea is like, I'm just trying to, again, give back to the kind of entrepreneurial community to make people better. And it gets me excited. Like, I don't want to, again, I don't want to like run off on a tangent here, but like, I noticed when I was running the Guerrilla, and that was, I felt like the Guerrilla gave me a ton of energy, and the idea of like building the business and like working up to like almost, I think we had like 20 employees at a point was awesome. I loved every single second of it. But I remember I was talking with my wife, we were at the dinner table, and I had just gotten back from a meeting with like a young entrepreneur, and we were talking about the business that they were starting, and I was just super hyped about it. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna do this. And like I get this advice, and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be sweet. And so like that's the stuff that lights me up. So like I just decided to kind of make a business out of it.
Yes, and that is very, very honorable of you to want to do that and not charge people an arm and 20 legs to get that information.
For
So
sure.
that's a blessing for sure from you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hopefully it'll be a blessing, right? I mean, like I don't want to toot my own horn. I think I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had a multi-million-dollar company. Some people not even making what, 5,000 a year. So
Right.
there's a lot of people in that position that are not, just getting started, and they're putting more in than they're getting out right now. And you know how that goes. You
Yeah,
don't,
I
I
do. I
tell
really
anybody, business is not for the meek,
no.
because you are not going to get a paycheck just because you worked right away.
Yeah, I'll tell you something that's kind of funny. I had a professor in college, and I'll never forget this. He was like, how many of you are doing entrepreneurship? Because I had an entrepreneurship degree, which I don't even, that's so funny that I did that. But so he asked, like, how many of you are doing entrepreneurship because or want to be an entrepreneur because of the money? And everybody raised their hand. And then and then he asked, how many people of you want to, how many people of you, how many of you want to be an entrepreneur because you can pick your own hours? And then everybody raised their hand. And then he gets up in front and he goes, well, the thing about entrepreneurship is that you're going to make shit money, and you're going to work 80 hours a week doing it. So, and that is so, like, when you start a business, that is like so true. And
Yes,
that's
it
where
is.
people, that's why like I feel like that's why most, on paper, like businesses fail, because it's really hard to get past that like 80 hours a week, making no money phase until you start like reaping what you sow, if that makes sense.
Yes, and it's like, you have to really start to build your mindset up first.
Yep.
You really do, because if you and the one thing, if you go into a business just for the money,
Mm-hmm.
you ain't gonna make it.
Yep. Yep. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, and it's yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I feel like that's the interesting piece about business, is that like everyone, I feel like a lot of people start a business. Some of them start a business out of passion. A lot of people start a business because they want to make additional money. And I feel like the people that are passionate about something are usually the people that succeed, right? Like,
Yes.
and if you develop, like I always say, again, not to be long-winded here, but I usually say, like, I think I'm very fortunate because my passions have always revolved around building businesses, and starting businesses. And I've always found it fascinating, like different business models and the way the businesses work.
Mhm.
So I feel like that, like the Guerrilla Agency, I always say, like, it could have been an ice cream shop. You know what I mean? It just happened to be like something that I did, and I did really well, and I executed on, and like I learned and grew. And I feel like as soon as, I'm, again, like when I'm able to like build a business and kind of give back and like do that's what makes me like really excited, if that makes sense.
And what a legacy. That's a
Yeah.
great legacy to have.
Totally.
To be
Totally.
able to pay it forward to other people. You know what I mean? That's pretty much what I believe we're on this earth to do, is to help other people, at the end of the day. So, AJ, I am just thrilled that we met. And again, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I would say the best way to get in touch with me is on LinkedIn. So do you have my LinkedIn? I think you do.
Say that again.
Do you have my LinkedIn? I
Oh,
think
yes, I have it. I'll make sure it's in
okay,
the show
maybe.
notes.
I think the best way to get in touch with me personally is either on my LinkedIn. Otherwise, going to smallbusinessbonfire.com is another way, and reaching through the contact form. Otherwise, I am on Twitter. It's AJ_Silber, SILB as in boy, ER. And I think those are kind of probably the three best ways to get in touch with me.
Okay, yeah, because I have the website and I have the LinkedIn.
Yeah, I should have threw the Twitter in, but that's sort of yeah, I've most recently decided to do more, I guess business outreach or, communication with my Twitter. So
Yes, because Twitter is kind of tough, I think, to build up as opposed to LinkedIn for me anyway. So,
yeah, no, it's hard because you got to tweet like 4 times a day. You know
and
what I
I
mean?
don't have time for that.
I know. I agree. 100% agree with that. Yeah, LinkedIn's like a little easier. You throw a LinkedIn post out there, people follow you, but Twitter is a little tough.
Yes, indeed. You've got to and I'm like one of those people, I have a set time to be on social media, and then after I'm done with that time, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah. That's the way it should be. Like I
Yeah,
feel like I'm constantly in front of the screen. It's not good.
and it can soak up a lot of time, especially if you're a business owner. You out on these social medias like that, you take next thing you know, an hour's gone, 2 hours is gone, and you ain't
Yeah.
done nothing.
Now it depends. It depends on what you're doing. Are you like replying to entrepreneurs or are you watching cat videos? Because I feel like I watch cat videos a lot too.
I do too. And now my newest is I'm getting drawn into TikTok now.
Oh, we do.
Like,
Don't get into
oh
TikTok.
Lord have mercy.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's like you can be, I mean, it's funny. I feel like you can be on TikTok you can be on TikTok for 2 minutes and 5 hours have went by. You know what I mean?
Ain't that the truth? So I try to do that. If I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be after my stuff is done, and
Yep.
either real early in the morning before my stuff starts, because you're right, you can get really hooked up, and I find myself just scrolling
Oh my God.
through, and next thing I'm falling out on the floor laughing.
Yeah, I know. Some of those videos are super good. And I feel like it's just I feel like you get a video that's good and then you get 4 that aren't good and you're like, God, I want to get that next one. You know what I
Right,
mean?
exactly. I like
Yeah.
the animal ones. They really tickle me.
I do too. I love those.
Yes. Well, AJ, you are a very, very nice. I love your personality. You're a very warm person. And I know that people are definitely going to gravitate to your information and what you have to offer. So thank you so much for everything that you do, because it's a blessing. It's going to be a blessing to so many people.
Thank you so much for saying that. And I would say likewise. I feel like you and I feel like just in this short conversation we've had, I feel like we're cut from the same cloth. I'm really excited to talk with you today.
Yes, thank you so much, AJ. And we're going to do this again as things progress and different
Please.
products come out. We're going to hook up again and talk some more.
I would love that.
All righty now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford. We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.